What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Grim, a Dark Heresy edition 1 and 2 kind of one-shot show. Welcome. Hope you guys are excited. I know that we are. This started a little while ago. I asked JP about doing a one-shot. We've done a couple, and they've been absolutely ridiculous. And I know a lot of people have been asking for some 40K, some Dark Heresy love, and the rest is history, as they say. But I am not alone. In fact, I'm joined by people far greater, more handsome, and way smarter. That one's for sure. The other ones could have been facetious, but they are way smarter than I am. We have an excellent cast for you guys, and as is tradition with roleplay shows, I'd like to ask how they're doing. We're going to be going live for 4 hours, so we're going to keep it a little bit brief, but we're still going to touch up with these guys. Mr. Harper, up in Seattle, how are you doing, man? What's new with you?
I'm doing well. New with me since yesterday, since our crazy Blades session where your character became a demon. I was about to say maybe I won't say it's a spoiler. Spoilers. People haven't seen it yet. A demon something. You'll have to tune in and watch. Not much new here. I'm looking forward to some Warhammer though. I ran Warhammer Fantasy way back in the day and enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to some 40K action.
That's what I want to do with this too. Is I want to ask each people kind of what your connection to Warhammer is, because I think a little bit of this too, and I love this about roleplay. But there's a lot of fans that are like-minded. There are a lot of Warhammer people, and JP and I grabbed you guys with the explicit purpose of like you guys freaking know Warhammer. So John, I mean, what's your connection? What have you done with Warhammer?
I started playing the tabletop game, Fantasy and 40K, and did that for a long time. And then I came to the role-playing game kind of late, actually. Second edition Warhammer Fantasy was my jam. And when Chris Pramis and Green Ronin came out with the sort of re-release of that book, we ran it for a couple years. Nice. This crazy sandbox fantasy game in the city of Prague in the Warhammer universe. So that's mostly my background. The 40K stuff for me has all been tabletop, which is awesome, and that's a super. I know that's your thing, but I've never done the 40K RPG stuff, so this will be my first time in Dark Heresy. I'm looking forward to it.
You're in for a doozy. The rules are super simple.
They're just easy to understand.
Yeah. Don't even require an ounce of research beforehand. It always goes so well too. Nobody ever complains about mistakes that we make with the rules when it comes to Dark Heresy. It's great.
Yeah. It's intuitive, I think, is the best.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like a second skin.
Mm-hmm. From one John to the next, Totalbiscuit, how you doing, man? How you
Not too bad. Good to be back in the saddle with 40K stuff after a couple of years of not really doing that in terms of the role play show at any rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your video, Warhammer Explained in 1 minute or whatever, that was a weird clashing of worlds for me, because I was like, because people keep asking me, they're like, if I want to get into Warhammer, what do I do to do this? And I've been telling them Lexicanum or go to the local store, that kind of stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm sure somebody made a video. I look it up. Fucking Totalbiscuit did, of course. And I was like, oh, of course you did.
Someone still blames me for there being a ship that shouldn't be there, something that was not canon. I was like, I wasn't the one who animated that. It's like, there's an Ultramarines battle barge around Earth. That was impossible due to the Battle of the Void. I was like, I am well aware of the Battle of the Goddamn Void. But the animator was not.
We're going to get into covering lore, by the way, before we start the show, because that's like an asterisk that has to be adjusted, or addressed, rather. But, John, real quick, I mean, what's some of your connection to 40K? Just kind of going on that theme. I know you've got a lot, but, what's it like for you?
I mean, it's very old connection. I don't really have much going on recently, mostly just because I don't have the talent nor the patience to put an army together. And even if I did, I don't really have anyone around here to play with. So I try to keep up with the novels as best I can when I can. I'd love to listen to their audiobooks if they weren't about $500 per episode. And the Black Library app being a piece of arcane technology whose machine spirit must be appeased in order for it to actually work properly. And I certainly can't be asked with that. But I used to play Warhammer back when I was like 12, 13, second edition of Warhammer 40,000. It's the nice blue box, if I recall correctly. I think it was the Orcs and the Ultramarines were in the box for that one. I ended up playing a lot of Epic 40,000, which was the larger scale one with the Titans and all sorts of things. They've even got those in the real one now, which is like, back in my day, you could only have those if you played Epic. You got the starter set with the cardboard Gargant because they were cheap asses and couldn't be bothered to give you a real one. It's like, you can replace this with a real one when you feel like it's like, come on. Like, it's a piece of cardboard and a stand. This is terrible. I also played a little of Necromunda back in the day, and a lot of the small scale stuff was what I really enjoyed, the campaign level stuff. Necromunda, I think, can't be beat in that respect, although Gorka Morka was a close second with basically Mad Max with orcs driving around with big spiky trucks. All the best 40k games are the ones that they killed after like one expansion because it wasn't popular enough.
Oh, John, what if I told you Titanicus and their Necromunda clone are both being re-upped as we speak?
I would say that they will last one expansion, and then a box of them will cost like $500 on Amazon in a year's time or whatever, because there won't be any reprints. That is what I'll say about that.
You're probably not wrong, but that was my best shill impression. But speaking of shills, a good friend of mine over here in the top left-hand side, Mr. Reece Richard Robbins. How are you doing, friend?
I'm doing great, Jeff. That's it.
That's it? All right, over to no. A lot of you don't know who Reece is, actually, and I'll do. You know what? No, actually, Reece is the voice box, the Vox, if you will, of his company, Frontline Gaming. So, Reece, go. I mean, who are you? Tell these people where you come from, what you do, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm a permanent resident in the Grimdark. Our company is heavily involved in all things 40K. We not only sell the products, but we make products. We run events all around the Western United States. People come from all around the world to compete for prizes of glory, and rumors have it also beautiful women.
Wow.
Well,
rumors.
Much like Sasquatch, that hasn't been confirmed yet. But
beautiful
that
men,
is the
though,
rumor.
to be fair, right? Both. It's men and women. Beautiful men and women.
Oh, whatever your pleasure, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
but we run events where people come and play 40K, specifically Age of Sigmar, all that fun stuff. We have multiple podcasts, make video battle reports. Our professional lives are dedicated to growing and promoting the tabletop gaming hobby, specifically with Games Workshop games as our main focus.
Very cool.
And I get to hang out with you awesome dudes.
Yeah, Reece is Mr. Warhammer, by the way. So I thought he'd be perfect for this. You've done a lot.
What month are you, Mr. Warhammer? Like November, December, 1985, 86?
I'm February, sir, the month of love.
Do you pose in the inverse of Space Marines? You have the helmet and nothing else?
I do.
Hot piece, man.
Good. I'm about that.
Kind of. But yeah, so Reece has also been doing role playing for forever, but you did Pathfinder with your friends, I guess, right? Mostly.
Yeah. I have a enduring love for 3.0. Pathfinder is my favorite system, even though if it may not be the best system, but it's still so much fun. It has a lot of nostalgia going on. I would go back to playing with Thaco if I could, but I can't. And I do love Pathfinder very much. But I'm excited to play this game because I love the 40K universe so much. But this will be my first experience playing Dark Heresy, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, before we get going, Adam, you're always a busy man. I saw you were making your character on screen or working on it yesterday too. That was really cool, too.
Yeah, it was fun. I've got a sort of indirect history with 40K. Like I played a little bit of it. When I was a kid, I played a bunch of Hero Quest. That was the first Games Workshop thing I ever laid hands on. So when I found out about Warhammer Fantasy, I was like, hey, that's those guys from Hero Quest. But I recognize that
was a gateway drug, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. So that for me, that was that bought it at Toys R Us Mattel fantasy thing back when I was a kid, and I played that, and then I played like a little bit of Warhammer Fantasy, but at that age I could not afford my own army, so it was just kind of like making up games with the 200 points of dudes that me and my friends had.
Adam, you said at that age. I'm sorry. Is there an age where anyone can ever afford Warhammer? Or is that?
Right. I mean, I don't know, Jeff. You tell me. You tell me. Back then I didn't have people that I could ask on the internet to donate money so I could buy a Titan. Yeah. I actually played I think I played Mordheim. I think that was the first Warhammer. And then like John, I played a bunch of Warhammer Fantasy. I worked in a game store for a while after I graduated high school, so mostly my exposure was other people playing the game and then selling it to them. So a bit like a drug dealer, I watched a lot of people's lives ruined by Warhammer. We had a guy, a regular, who would come in and spend $1,000 every couple of weeks on Warhammer stuff. And then
so
he
at least
had
one squad of Space Marines then.
Yeah, one squad. Yeah, single pewter figure. And then he had a family member come in and be like, "Look, you have to not let him do this anymore. Like we can't convince him, but he's like he's this is a problem. Stop selling stuff to him."
They had a plastic crack intervention.
Yeah, we had to be like, "Look, man, we love your business and stuff, and you're putting our boss through his kids through college, but like maybe you want to consider like a less expensive hobby." Like cocaine.
It's a skill, dude. There's a lot of stories like that of people that don't think it's a problem, and then all of a sudden it kind of catches up on them. They're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
The other reason why they got rid of all of the cool small scale games like Mordheim and Necromunda, because you only need like 8 figurines to play them.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the use of that? They can't keep milking you.
Well, and the other game I really liked, and I feel like almost no one played, was War Master. The one with the like really tiny like little.
That's
that was epic fantasy, wasn't it? Yeah. Same
I have a
principle.
ton of that scale, like little high elves, like just little fucking bitsy guys. I love that game.
I love the epic scale stuff. It was great. I never got to play the fantasy version, but the 40K one was excellent.
Yeah.
The 6mm scale games were so cool, but they didn't catch on because the minis were just so tiny. It's hard to see them.
I think the reason I picked that up is because the store that I worked at was sort of first and foremost, the owners were like big old timey like war game nerds. So they were used to playing like Napoleonics at that scale. Okay. So when 40K or Fantasy had that line, they were like, oh, we got to stock this. Like, I love these tiny little soldiers. So they were just around all the time, and it was unusually popular for the space that I was playing in. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll play. All the people I work with are playing. But yeah, it's definitely not people's usual like entry into that world.
No, it's not. I think the reason a lot of people liked it, in my opinion, the reason those tiny little things were so great is because you basically just had to color wash the infantry, and that was about it. You got to paint a lot of vehicles, and that was more fun and a lot easier for me. Like facial features, no, but 20 little land raiders, much easier. And then of course you got your Titans and stuff. So if you're a guy that loved the vehicles of 40K more than whether or not some guy had a particular kind of bolt pistol, then epic was the way to go for.
Yeah, for folks at home, like the scale of these minis, if you haven't played that scale, they tend to range between like the vehicles are between like micro machines and at the most like the biggest ones like small diecast cars, like a little Volkswagen Bug. So even your Lehman Russ is like only just like a tiny little guy, and you could field a ton of them. So it was like a way to scale that up.
Entire company of them. It's like, hey, you want to get 20 Land Raiders in a group? It's about 400 points. Hey, add another 30 on. That'll be nice.
And they were cheap as models too. Like,
yes, they were.
Talking about Games Workshop, because they lacked detail because of how small they were. It was a more affordable game, and you're playing at a larger scale with how small the models were. So it definitely it's the APOC game for a person that doesn't want to also have an entire garage of like, oh god, I did spend $1 million,
which is exactly why they dropped it.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think the thing for me about 40K that appealed to me, the thing that drew me into 40K is I love fascism. I love it. It's aesthetic.
Okay.
It's politics. An armored boot stomping on a human face forever just really gets me going. I have a skull fetish, so just a perfect fit for me as a player.
You throw in some spikes and you got the 40K cocktail.
Yeah, big sweaty men shouting at each other in pretend accents.
It is nice that there is literally no good side. Any faction you look at, any one of them is horribly flawed and evil, just in every way.
It's
horribly
funny,
oppressive, and evil.
Yeah. It's like the best examples of good guys would be like maybe the Tau, who
are actually people. Yeah, horrendous zealots who are like, yes, for the greater good, wipe this planet out of existence. For the greater good, yes. Genocide.
Well, they give you the choice to be castrated and live out the rest of your life, but not be able to propagate, or they wipe you out. So they do give you the choice.
What a choice, though. At least they give you that choice. And then there's like the Eldar who are so good that they are evil to everyone else because they don't trust them with anything, basically. So they're so good they're evil.
They have no problem manipulating the threads of time itself to wipe out entire species as long as it happens to avert something from coming at one of their craft worlds. Yes, they're really lovely people.
They literally had so much deviant sex and violence that they created a god.
They made a god, yes.
They made the best god. I mean, the worst god.
I'm sorry, what was that heresy there? I just heard.
I mean, if I had to pick a Chaos God, it would definitely not be Nurgle or Korn or the bird guy. So
Look,
Who would pick
Nurgle is a nice guy. Nurgle just wants
has a
bring
garden.
you into his lovely, squishy embrace.
He's a cuddler. He's a
Grandfather
he is
Nurgle.
happy. He's the only happy god of all of them.
That is true.
That is actually the point.
It's not his fault. He just bleeds out poison. But anyways, we're starting to get into Warhammer, guys. So I have my little speech that I'm going to give, but believe me, this narcotic cocktail of words is meant to make it enjoyable for everyone. We're going to play Dark Heresy. I have book 1 in front of me. I have PDF for book 2 on the other screen. The reason I tell you that is because we're going to literally be bouncing between the two, not to make someone have an aneurysm and crap themselves and die of frustration, but because we just want to have 4 hours of Warhammer in Dark Heresy, mostly having fun. So if one of you out there is like, well, I've been playing Dark Heresy for 9 years, both my children are named after characters in the book, and I hate anything that deviates off of that, now's your time to turn this off, because we're going to. Total Biscuit, huge lore nerd. I'm pretty good. Reece is really good. And then there's varying degrees after that of good. But if I say something wrong, like if I call something a data slate or pad instead of something else, please don't hate me. That's it.
Summary execution with a bolt pistol, I believe. Yes?
John would have you do that. I'm going to ask you don't, okay? If all that's cool with you guys, we're going to have a really good and fun 4 hours now. So I think we'll just dive into it. So setting the world, we are in the Calixis sector, which is the sector that Dark Heresy recommends you start off in. This is where we can safely kill, maim, destroy things without disrupting, the Black Library's breadth of work in terms of the other books that are out there. The planet is Gunpoint. Why, you might ask? Because it's called fucking Gunpoint, and that's literally the name that they put in the universe. The Hive City is Romulus, and we zoom in on our transport with 3 very important hench people, although they might not like that term, but they are minions of Inquisitor Dorgan, who is a Inquisitor of the Ordos Malleus, or it is Malleus, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ordo Malleus.
Ordo Malleus.
You're fucking it up already.
There we go. I love you so much, Total Biscuits.
Do you two need a minute? Do you need to be alone? Because we could go.
Well, don't worry. The Aconia waits.
Blessed is the mind too small for doubt.
It's a dark transport. We're kind of entering the atmosphere, and it is in low red light, as presumably so that it can kind of go without too much detection going over the airwaves. And a man walks in. There's 3 figures kind of strapped into their seats, and we'll get to that in a second. The man that walks in is a simple man in a black body glove. He looks middle age, 40, 50 years old. Not really super descript in any way. The 3 of you know this guy as kind of one of the lieutenants of Inquisitor Dorgan, someone that he would dispatch to make sure things get done. And his name is Alpha, just literally Alpha. Kind of boring, but it is what it is. Kind of a Josh Brolin-like character. So masculine, buff, but gray-haired. Perhaps Koebel and Deadpool 2 coming. I digress. And he just kind of addresses all 3 of you and looks at you. And before we get into what he says, I want to kind of get into a description of the people. So he first looks at Scythia Cercantus, or Sister Scythia Cercantus. And what do people kind of see when they look at her?
So Scythia or Scythia, depending on how Latin you want to be, she is from a feral world, and you can tell she's a young woman, kind of olive complected, but her hair is this crazy shock orange mess on top of her head. She kind of tries to keep it slicked back faux hawk style, but it's all spiky and crazy. She comes from a prison world called Vinculum that was created originally to house prisoners, like Space Australia, and the people there are genetically tagged so that it's hard for them to blend into normal society. They usually have weird skin colors or hair, or she has a pheromone tag that makes her smell like a campfire all the time, so she can't really blend in to society very well. So she ended up being an Imperial Guard before joining the warband. And you can tell just from her armor and her weaponry, she's a fighter. She's tough. She's scarred. She has the zealous flame for the Emperor burning in her eyes, and she carries two swords. Here's a chain sword when she needs to go loud, and a mono sword for quiet work. And that's her specialty. She has blades thirsty for the blood of heretics, and her whole demeanor is like a panther. She's just like a caged animal. She's just ready, can't wait to step off the ship and start chopping heretics to pieces.
Would you say she's uncomfortable then in the cold hard steel of this transport strapped in?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Her homeworld is open plains and that kind of thing. So she's a wild type. She doesn't like being cooped up inside of ships and things. She wants to get out, breathe the air, and get into battle.
Very good. Okay. And then Alpha's eyes kind of pan over at two very different people, I would say, from Scythia, who are, you would almost think them brothers even if you looked upon them, but I think the camera's gaze goes to brother Tiberius first. And what do we kind of see when we gaze over Tiberius?
So brother Tullus Fabius Cicero, he's
what
known to his friends. Because Tiberius is what his friends call him, right? He's known as Tiberius to his friends.
Which is why we don't hear that very often.
Yeah, his friends. Hey, you could be his friend if you want. His name is Tullus Fabius Cicero, but Tiberius is his known to his friend's name. That's probably what you would call him. He introduced himself that way. He's a highborn. So he has a very, very dark, smooth skin. He's sort of a bullish-shaped guy, big, broad shoulders, very kind of heavy. He has a big gold ring through his nose, and he's wearing armor. He wears a suit of armor because the Inquisitor's assistance is a dangerous job. But over top of his armor, he has robes of the Ministorum. He keeps them in fine condition, because otherwise, how would you know how important he is? He carries weapons, but they're of significant contrast. He has a saber at his hip that looks to be hundreds of years old, maybe more. It's worn, the scabbard ancient, and then contrasting that, he has a warhammer that looks like it's never been used. It's a pristine weapon that doesn't look like it's ever seen battle. I think that his countenance is calm. He has a sense of self-assuredness wherever he goes, and he has the look of a man who's used to getting what he wants.
Very good. And then we kind of pan over, not quite a clone of him, you would say, TotalBiscuit, but someone looking in some ways very similar, I imagine.
Yes, but perhaps 50 or so years older and 200 years more experienced than Brother Fabulous over there, dressed in the simple, dirty robes that one might find of someone who spent most of their life ministering to those in need and removing the unwanted from a certain underhive. Man who is used to getting what he would like to eat. Bawdy man, a balding man, and certainly a bulging man. An ill-fitting flak vest beneath those dirty but utilitarian robes. And strapped across his back, a long rifle of sorts that he affectionately refers to as the rod of the Emperor.
Of course.
Tool of his trade for the removal of such heretics and witches from his beloved underhive with a minimum of fuss and a minimum of collateral damage.
John, is it fair to say when we look at it, it looks like it's a pretty well-polished rod, would you say?
I would say that the rod is frequently polished. It looks like it may be maintained somewhat via his own hand, but in many cases with the hand, or some might say both hands of others, where necessary.
We get it. He fucks. Yeah.
He has been known to do so. In his hands, a small chipped glass of Amasec, and his eyes leering in the direction of Sister Scythia and admiring the various qualities that make up such a wonderful servant of the Emperor's wrath.
Okay. I think as Alpha kind of finishes his scan of you guys and looking at you, he notices that you're looking over at Scythia and kind of just you hear a fairly deep sigh even over the sound of re-entry. And he says, "Now look, Inquisitor Dorgan has given me the job of telling you the intel we have. I need your eyes up here and paying attention. I'm only going to say it once. There is a bit of a time frame coming for this one. The planet is ordered for exterminatus, but you're not to tell anyone. If opinion or word were to get out, it would make the mission untenable. It'd be impossible to get through the masses as they writhe and upset and are rather fierce. I've been asked to get a verbal agreement out of each of you. Can I please get that now?"
Oh, well, thank you for your expert advice there. We shall not go around bragging about the local exterminators. Everyone in agreement? No local exterminators. Yes, yes.
If the other two of you could keep it a little bit less robust, but just a simple yes or a nod would do.
Agreed.
Yes, brother.
Very good. Now look, we're after a man. Some of you may have heard some of these names, and we're not sure it's him, but he has something that we need. And a big part of the reason why Exterminatus has been ordered for this planet is precisely because of what he has. This man is named John Grammaticus, and we're not sure if it's actually him or not, but he has a relic, and we're not to have the relic, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean when I say we're not to have the relic?
I look DJ Wheat directly in the eye and nod solemnly.
My impressions were better, you son of a bitch. No, and he's going to say, I'm going to take that as a yes. There's a few assets at play. We have reason to believe another organization has hired an assassin to track down this item. You are not to make contact with this assassin. We're not sure of which house it is. We believe it could be a Calexis assassin. You're not ready for that kind of thing. You'll know it's around because you'll feel sick to your fucking stomach, like you ate some snot or some shit. I don't know. Whatever you'd eat that'd make you sick. Maybe not her. She looks like she could eat a wad of boogers. You're to stay away from that. But you need to get this relic. He is believed to be making his way up the spire to a place where we believe there's an exit organized for him. It's supposed to be a webway portal. I don't know. I've never dealt with that shit in all my years. But if he gets to this house, which I'll get to in a second, it's believed he'll make his exit. So you're supposed to track him down first.
Typical spire corruption. Hiding Xenos heresy in the gilded spires of opulence. Oh, Brother Fabulous, what do you have to say about the unbelievable sins of your wealthy cohorts?
I stare across the transport at you. And I say over the sound of the engines, I say, I sigh frustratedly, and I actually don't think I say anything. I just kind of like shake my head.
I nod, slyly smile, and take a small sip of my Amasec before returning my attention to our wonderful messenger over there.
Yeah. Just as a side, by the way, guys, this accent's perfect. I want to make a mention of that to the chat. It is my goddamn world, so this accent's actually hitting 100% the entire time.
Yeah,
incredible. So if you want to give me a small applause, thank you.
Yeah, I've heard this accent before in the Underhive. In fact, It sounds curiously like the mutants that lick the spittle off the bottom of the glasses in the local scum calf.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Even the dialect is spot on. And he kind of says, and as a final point, now I know there's a lot of rich families on Romulus, so it's hard to locate just one, but there's a certain area, we're going to drop you off in the area where these crimes have been happening, but rich people have been getting abducted, and it's believed that there is a cult that has developed there, and people are calling it the Multifaceted Truth. It's a cult that apparently is abducting rich people, and we think that might be our best in as to where this could happen. Something like that would be related to a webway portal, heresies, and whatnot.
Oh, big surprise. Once again, deploy to deal with the problems of the rich people. Yes, I can't imagine we would be so driven to such urgency were it to be someone not so wealthy or so well connected with the local guilds. What say you?
There'll be plenty of poor people for you to rub up against or do whatever it is you do, but I just ask that you remember Exterminatus is happening in 24 hours time.
You would be surprised at how much I can get done in 24 hours, dear.
Very good. One last thing. You're not to tell anyone that you're from an Inquisitor either. You will not be identified as such, and you will be given no aid. Your point of exit is to simply return back to here. We don't expect it. I'm going to be honest with you. You're all probably going to die, but you're doing this in the name of the Emperor and other things and such. So if you could just carry on and do your mission, then we'll be respectful and whatnot.
I turn and look at him and I say, everything we do is for the Emperor.
I punctuate that by charging the chainsword. Run! So it starts running after he says that.
He rolls his eyes.
Oh, glad to see you with a group of such enthusiastic servants of his wrath. Yes.
We'll be touching down, and you'll make point of contact with a local. His name is Arbitrator Severus. I don't know anything about him, so you'll have to... I just hope that he's not a piece of shit, I suppose, but he probably is a piece of shit. You know what to do. Good luck and all that. May the Emperor shine. And he turns and just mumbles and walks away. You get the sense he does not think you guys are going to come back. He does not care.
Well, this would hardly be the first time he sent us into the mouths of certain death, and yet somehow we simply keep finding our way staggering out of it.
Very good. The ship it's just a few moments later, it touches down. Romulus is a hive city. So for a lot of people that perhaps don't know Warhammer 40k lore, think excess, think future gone crazy. Like, what if China took over the galaxy and just kept building buildings on buildings and putting people on people and people? There are spires that reach up miles and miles up into the sky. There are under places that are so rampant with pollution and with crime and some of the worst things you can imagine that they're just not even mentioned. There's shadow worlds beneath another world. That is what a hive city is. And Romulus is, for purposes of just a quick one-shot, going to be just a very straightforward metropolitan hive world. We'll let the color and flavor of it kind of take shape, but if you need something, just think about a really, really crazy, gritty, dirty, darty New York. Just that kind of a feel. And the ramp...
more polite.
More polite, yeah. I would say so. The door kind of opens, and your harnesses kind of pull off, and you're presumably only one place to go. But standing outside, just below the ramp, is a character who I was about to say has a shit-eating grin on his face, but that's just Reece. What is your character actually doing, Reece? What do we see when we look at him? You might be muted.
He's just the strong and silent type, don't you know?
Yeah. That would be a bold roleplay decision.
I was going to do it all in pantomime. No, he has a stern demeanor. One might say that it is both grim and dark.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you for that. No, Arbitrator Severus is from a shrine world, so he's from a holy world in the Imperium. He is a true believer of the Emperor's divinity, and the law is absolute in his eyes. Not a guy that you would want to go to a party with or associate with pretty much in any fashion at all. Characters that are prone to excess are on his shit list.
Oh, this
so I'm sure I'm going to get along just fine with everybody here.
This guy's going to be my best friend. Man, rich people love cops.
Be careful not to check inside his backpack. I found some strange fungi in there recently. Must just have been the hygiene issue.
Listen, man, we all know the only fun guy around here is you.
Hey,
Did you pay
a joke? A joke from the wealthy nobleman. So rare, such a treasure that you'd put it in a lockbox and insure it, brother Fabulous.
I don't know if you paid the imperial tithe on that amasec that clearly came from off-world, sir. But
arbitrator, would you deny an old man of the cloth his simple pleasures? How long have I served toiling in the underhive? 60, 70 years, maybe 80 now. Who can tell? The emperor and the wonders of the ecclesiarchy provided me with a small amount of juvenat, but trust me, these old bones, they ache, and you would rather have a more nimble, more capable ally in the fights to come, would you not?
John, I'm going to award you 1 fate point right now for accurately role-playing a balding, bulgy, drunk man who is having a tough time socializing with people right now.
I can't imagine where I got that from, really,
Yeah.
or that experience has just been transplanted from out of nowhere.
But that's real. Take 1 extra fate point, but yeah, keep going.
60 years in the service of the Emperor is a blessing. You should be thankful.
Oh, of course. I'm wonderfully thankful. You can tell. I toast my thanks at every possible moment.
The only thing that the friar likes more than the Emperor is the sound of his own voice. We have a mission.
I can tell.
And I gesture like, you have somewhere for us to go and discuss this? Because
Yeah,
we're just like
two
standing out
business.
on the platform, right?
Yeah. Cynthia's already like prowling around the edge of the platform, staring down into the hive, looking at everyone's faces, reading her targets. You know, she's like ignoring all of this faffing around and is ready to kill.
Yeah, I think there's like a blip that you guys each get, and each of you, for just complete narrative purposes, all have a data pad or some kind of source like that, and it just again illustrates the 3 points of like key names, the multifaceted truth cult, and then it says this area, and it like has a circle over basically the sector or the area that you're in of that city. Just a little bit further north or whatever is the circle where these crimes have been happening, where rich people are getting abducted. And then the last point, of course, is just you have till end of day to stop him from getting to the top of this, to the spire area, which we assume has something to do with the cult of the multifaceted cult.
So I think, I guess we're talking about this. Like, are we en route somewhere, or like where are we having this conversation? Because we've got the information on our data slates, but
Yeah, so far you got pinged. You guys are literally just like you said. It's awkward. You're awkwardly standing just right off.
So I'll turn to Severus and I'll say, is there a reason we have not simply destroyed the spire, thus cutting this heretic off from his escape route?
I'm sure there is, but that's detailed information that I don't trust you enough to share yet. But I have no doubt that we will be finding out soon.
No, I have no doubt there are many reasons as to why we have not destroyed the spire. Such a shame that the problem weren't to be found, say, lower down in the hive, where we would be less discriminate about such things.
If you wish to investigate the bottom of a cesspool or a bottle, please be my guest, Friar.
You would
We
be
have work to
surprised
do.
at what I could find at the bottom of both, Brother Fabulous.
And
I'd be surprised if you could
assume-
find anything. Enough with your words. They won't slay heretics. Let's be on with it.
Yeah. I assume Severus has some direction for us, unless unless we're just like free to choose whatever the next step is.
Yeah, no.
Well, then, enough banter. We need to go enforce the Emperor's law. Follow me, and we shall proceed forward, as time is short.
Yeah, so you guys kind of make your way off of the dock area or so, and like we said, you were let off fairly close to where these crimes have been happening. It is a hive city, so it's just shit packed with people everywhere, right and left. Finding public, your own personal space is something of a luxury that you have to actually fight for. But as you guys kind of make your way into the area, again, your data pad kind of tings as the first objective of sorts. This kind of find this area, investigate the crimes that have been going on here, as we believe them to be loosely connected with the endpoint of where you want to go, which is wherever this cult is kind of manifesting their evilness, if you will, is here. So you're in like a market area of sorts, but again, it's a hive city, so even a market area quickly bleeds into something completely different. It's just a bunch of people everywhere.
So Jeff, let me ask a clarifying question here.
Mm-hmm.
When Alpha was giving us our mission, like there's some assumption that we keep a low profile, but like how where does that fall?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't expect us to be undercover exactly.
No,
but
that's a very fair question. I think what he was trying to kind of communicate is that you will not have the ability to flash an inquisitorial seal and say, give me this and this information. You are with a local Arbitage, so you can definitely waive that kind of power, and he can say you guys are consultants, or you are whatever. So you have like local municipal level of abilities here, I would say, but you don't.
So we
get
have
the
a cover,
hats.
sort of like.
Exactly, and all he said was, "Don't let everyone know that the planet's doomed for exterminatus." But other than that,
Sure. We
the
won't mention
undercover
that.
So
part-
ringing the exterminatus bell.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you guys like literally take up the corner, like everyone's gonna die, we're all, that would probably be really bad. But
Okay. I think I get it. I'm trying to figure out how Cynthia, like how boldly she would approach this if she was going to be like screwing the mission by just stepping forward and starting announcing shit. It sounds like that's not the idea, so she'll hold back a little bit.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, you guys come to this area. This is where the crimes have been happening. What do you do? How would you like to go about it from there?
Well, we're in a market, right?
Of sorts, yeah.
Commerce. Gross. I mean, this place is going to be full of nothing but servants and merchants. So I feel like the smart thing to do here is to maybe talk to the families of the people who've been kidnapped and find why they went missing, what they have in common.
Sure.
I would like to
You
speak
wanna-
with the highborn in question. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure he would. I feel perhaps my talents would be better used amongst the common folk, amongst the so-called riffraff, and I could perhaps inquire around this area as to any rumors, any highborn seen out of place, perhaps with groups of people who they were not familiar with. Perhaps one of these people has spotted the group of kidnappers at some point.
Okay. That sounds like to me that you're kind of looking around the area, perhaps even. Is it going to be perception, you think, that you should do a check for?
Well, if I was using inquiry, which I would assume I would be, I'm not looking for evidence. I'd be talking to people. That would be fellowship, and also my inquiry skill, which I've got up to whatever level 2 is, I think.
Go for it. Let's do that then. You're going to inquire to just kind of the general people around you.
Okay.
He's just doing that, but Adam, your character is still full. You were available to take your course of action as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be in this area for a while, I think what we'll do is, and I think this is a trick that the friar and I, knowingly or otherwise, do, where he's gonna go out and make a big scene and talk to people and be all jovial and friendly, and I'm going to observe. So while he's grilling people, I'm paying attention for subtler clues, seeing if the conversation sparks nervousness, that kind of thing. I'm playing the follow to his forward.
Well, make sure you do stay at least 10 paces away. The gold may end up blinding my particular subject if you're not careful.
If I stand any closer to you, I become nauseated otherwise.
Well, it sounds like we've reached a compact, Brother Fabulous. Just over there, right? Yes, couple more steps, if you don't mind. Good chap. Yes, thank you. I will be inquiring with these fellows, and thanks to my role, I have an ability called Nothing Escapes My Sight, in addition to normal uses of fate points, which I do have, and you gave me a bonus one, if I recall correctly earlier. Seeker character may spend a fate point to automatically succeed in an awareness or inquiry skill test with a number of degrees of success equal to his perception bonus, which in my case would be 3, I believe.
Okay.
So I automatically succeed in this inquiry. I don't have to roll for it. I'd spend a fate point to do so, and I would succeed with 3 degrees of success.
Okay, that's pretty far in success. So I think we're going to do a little dual scene thing here. So while that's kind of coming to pass, I want to give Adam the chance to roll for. I mean, what do you think is best, Adam? Do you think it's perception? You're kind of watching the audience, or
I'm definitely using scrutiny. I'm
scrutiny. Okay.
Screwed all over the place. Is there? Let's see. So I've got it at a bonus. So I think it'll automatically do that.
Adam, I am also trained in scrutiny.
Nice.
I took that. I can help you. If Jeff lets us, I can help you and give you a +10 to your test.
Fantastic. All right. Target modifier 10. In what way are you helping me as I do this?
So I think you said like you're stepping away and blending in a little bit to observe how people react to the flyer,
acting imperious and kind of
Yeah. Cynthia clearly wants to be away from the leering friar before her temper gets the better of her. And so I think as you step back and to observe, you realize that she's sort of at your back, standing not like a bodyguard, because you can handle yourself, but a little bit like a bodyguard. And she occasionally is like nudging you and kind of pointing with her chin, like, look at that guy.
Yeah, I'm better at social cues, and you're better at like body language and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, give me that roll.
All right, let's see. I got a 31.
Under
Target was 52.
Quite a bit. So 2 degrees of success, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do one after the other. So, John, I should really start using Gaius. Describe for me what it looks like when you are speaking to this crowd. Then, on 3 degrees of success, by the way. So,
on 3 degrees of success, I would imagine that the crowd is somewhat enamored with my tale, laughing along with me, perhaps without a care in the world, and more than willing to share information about the various highborn snot wipes that they may have seen in places of ill repute over the last few days, places that perhaps their families would not want them to be aware of, not want to know about at all, that kind of thing.
So you're kind of endearing yourself to the crowd in the sense that, like, what about those rich people that kind of come down?
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Who go beneath their station and who whore just like everyone else. They just happen to be too ashamed to admit it, all that kind of thing.
I think with your 3 degrees of success and your obvious talent for quickly grabbing the rabble's attention and making yourself kind of one of them, a group kind of starts to amass. And again, it is like a market space, but it's a place where highborn and rich people have also come. So there's some like kind of what's believed to be rare dealers there, and there's like this hole in the wall shop, but you absolutely have to eat there because the Crocs patties are insane. And that's kind of where they either send handlers or they send them, even sometimes they lower themselves and go there. So you're kind of giving this speech, and immediately a couple of people are like, yeah, I've been seeing them. There's always the bald ones. There's always the bald ones. I don't know why. Maybe they're too good for hair. I don't fucking know. All right, and then he like turns around and rocks. He's just pissed. But a couple of people are just they're
in the
like
process. I sort of comb over the 3 wires remaining of my graying hair in the process. Like, yes, absolutely, the bald ones, yes.
And I think you're starting to kind of get the sense that there are rich people that come down here. You know that through the crime. You're also getting the idea that for whatever reason they think they're bald or something like that. Once you kind of pick up on that clue, do you ask them any other questions or anything like that, or anything else we can give you? Because you kind of have their attention now, and they seem to be knowing what you're talking about.
Indeed. I would ask them if these people that they've been seeing around, were they being accompanied by anyone out of the ordinary, anyone outside of the usual expected entourage of bonded manservants and servitors, etc. Anyone that would have appeared unusual or perhaps even from off-world.
The nervous chuckling kind of starts to die off a little bit because, you were being really funny and this is how you grab their attention. But they start to kind of look contemplatively around because they're aware that people have gone missing in this area, but there's almost like they start to, a few of the words that kind of come trickling out of the audience gives you the idea that they're not concerned because it's always highborn people that are getting abducted. But as you're asking, what kind of details can we get from them? And they say, well, it's been going on for a while and it's always been individuals. Lately, they're showing up with combat servitors or some big hauler. It depends on the family, and less people have gone missing since then.
So it would appear that these people are aware of the kidnappings and have been bringing heavier firepower in terms of their bodyguards while they visit these places of ill repute. And more likely that than the people that have been kidnapped have been seen around these parts. So it doesn't seem like there's really been any sign of the ones that have gone missing around any of these areas. We've just seen the effects of the kidnappings.
Yeah. And I think as we're getting like a dual screen of this or whatever, but as you're kind of pulling these details out from these people, which don't seem to be super amazing just yet, but I'm allowing your really good role and theirs as well to kind of bleed over to this other thing because Adam is Tiberius, Brother Tiberius, was specifically looking for someone with weird body language. And I think as the detail comes out that there are people with bodyguards now, you see someone in the back that kind of stiffens the moment you mention that they've been going around with security. And it's a guy with a cloaked figure next to him that's like literally 1.5 feet taller than everybody else and a gigantic frame. We're not talking Space Marine frame here, but we are talking a very large, muscular individual next to what appears to be more of he's a highborn, very clearly, and his back stiffens immediately, and he looks around, and in that moment when someone's like looking for something that's looking for them, he locks eyes with Brother Tiberius and Scythia immediately because they're both alert for something like that, and he doesn't like.
I was about to say, does he run? Because running is an admission of guilt.
He does not turn to sprint, but it's one of those like, oh, look at the time. And then he turns and like makes his way out of the crowd, starts to walk away. But walk, not turn and sprint. No.
Yeah. Well, respecting that this is our Severus's jurisdiction, I turn to make sure he's seen what we see.
All citizens are assumed guilty until proven innocent. Should pursue.
Fucking love this guy. Yeah, I say, like, gesture, please.
I'm gonna start moving as soon as that happens, but I keep my eye on Tiberius because I know you're talking to Severus, but I'm like trying to maintain my vision on the dude that's leaving and kind of check back with you. So my crazy hunter orange hair is like bobbing through the crowd, tracking this dude or trying to stay within eyesight of him, so you guys can easily follow.
And what about you, Brother Gaius? You can see out. You can because you're like I imagine you stood up on like a crate or something like that, and you're addressing.
Naturally, yeah.
Brother Tiberius, sisters Scythia and Arbitrator Severus have both made their way out of the crowd.
Well, this will be at a time where I'd probably be wrapping up the speech and thanking everybody for the information, but not making it too obvious that I'm about to turn tail and go after this guy. I would be the last of the group, most likely, since these guys are already posturing to follow him.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you are following after is what you're doing then?
I will be, yes. I wouldn't be making it too obvious that I'm cutting off the conversation with the people and all that sort of thing.
A man of the people, then.
I wouldn't want to induce panic, and I certainly wouldn't want to give any indication that there may or may not be exterminators coming in this general direction. No. Of course not. Okay. What a ridiculous thing to say.
Why did I even bring it up?
I think that's
more of an internal monologue than anything else.
As Brother Gaius Horngeld is making his way out of there, the exotic Roxburger owner of the shop, who is standing outside listening to your addressing of the audience, presses into your hand the warm, exotic patty of a Groxburger and just gives you a nod. Because what he's given you, he sells like 3 of those in a month and he feeds his family, but he recognizes a good person of the people and gives you this wad of meat.
I thank him magnanimously. This wondrous feast is not for me. It is taken through my mouth and delivered to the bowels of the Emperor himself.
Okay.
You feed not my mortal flesh, this crumbling shell. No, you feed my burning faith in the Emperor.
Very good.
Blessings upon ye, good son. Blessings.
Roll a fellowship for me to see how this is received, I think.
Okie doke. Fellowship 36. So you want a D100 for this?
D100.
You should be able to just click on the skill in question. So like if it's a charm,
the name.
If it's a charm skill, you can click the name.
John,
yeah, because this will be under charm. Bearing in mind,
charm.
I have charm up to 2nd level. So you think that would?
There you go.
So I'll be doing a charm test.
I think you roll charm, I guess, is what it is.
If you just click where it says charm, it'll turn yellow.
What kind of is there a target modifier on this that I'm doing?
I think just
would this
30?
be an easy charm? This would be an easy charm, right?
Plus 20.
Okay, sure. What did that say?
You roll 43. Your target is 0.
Nice.
Well,
What?
Okay,
That's
that's
not right.
weird.
That's not-
Rolling 36 minus 20 plus 20 plus
I gave
10.
you a plus 20,
Well,
and you have like a
You rolled,
30.
you rolled a 43 anyway. So what's your fellowship?
My fellowship is 36.
So 46, 56. So you still succeed, though not by much.
Yeah, with your
Okay.
bonus use is good.
I think as you kind of mumble these horrifically drunken words to him, they just resonate with his heart, and a single tear kind of comes down his eye, and he just presses your hand, and he just says,
That's
May the Emperor shine on you and keep you safe, brother."
It is not the words, but the meaning and the intended feeling behind them. This is how you feel the Emperor's love, though he does not speak to us so directly anymore. You can feel him in the rocks and the trees and this delicious wad of meat. Everywhere is the Emperor. Indeed, and soon the
I
Emperor
thought you're
shall-
literally Saint Francis of Assisi.
it's something along those lines.
He
It's either
as,
that or Yoda. I can't remember which.
Yeah.
as
John
you
the
In my
continue
belly,
to
the
serenade
Emperor
him-
is.
as you continue to serenade him, this is a man that lives a life of servitude, even if it is with
Very
meat.
simple.
You have just taken a clean hand to his dirty windshield wiper and just made it a little bit nicer. And he turns, and there's a sob that comes from him. And he walks back to his shop. But you now have this wad of meat, this delicious exotic meat.
Put it in your
which
inventory,
you're playing
dog.
a long time. You could sell, or you can do what you want. But I think you make your way. The four of you now make your way after this guy, and it kind of, because you had drawn a crowd, a lot of the audience that had congested the streets or the shops kind of peel away, and you guys make your way up behind this duo, this smaller man back.
What I'm hoping is that we tier the order of how we arrive. Like we send the Hound first, which is to say Scythia. Like it's because this is very much like a highborn hunting behavior, right? Where I'm like, I've spotted the target, I let her off her leash, she goes to get him, then the cop shows up to read him his rights, then I show up, right? Like we've done this before.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
You guys are a group.
Hey
Sure.
Jeff, can I take an awareness check to see if I notice anything out of the usual, unusual about these two?
Yeah, go ahead. Do that real quick.
I would like to do that as well. I don't know if we can
You can both do one.
cooperate on this, or if we
Do
can
you
do
want
it
me to?
separately.
Do you want me to give you a +10 to yours? My
Maybe we need to do
perception
it separately.
is-
Possibly. I don't know if we
Perception's
can.
35.
Let's see. I have awareness, so.
So do I. I have awareness as well.
Oh, so yours is a little better. Maybe I'll help you actually, if that's okay, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I'll
So
go
yeah,
ahead and
that's my role. I'm like looking at these dudes and looking for anything out of the ordinary, and I'll pass that along to the cop if I notice something.
That's a space cop to you.
Yeah, no one's disrespecting your space cop powers.
So you get a 10 to your target bonus there when you.
Yep.
Okay.
Getting a 10 to the-
Just type 10. Don't type +10, or it'll mess it up. Just put.
Gotcha.
What good is the great jackboot of the Emperor if we do not have the feet to wield it?
They
Nice.
killed it.
I had a margin of
nice
success
work.
of 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I think you do this. You start to you guys see that they're alone-ish walking away from you, and being the very good and dedicated arbitaz, that Severus is, he starts to kind of look around. I think the only thing I'm going to really give you on this is that you're noticing quite the hiccup in the movement of the taller figure. You've seen this kind of movement before. You'd probably go ahead and guess this is some kind of servitor. That is not a living, breathing human being that is moving organically. That is some collection of the two.
Uh-huh.
He's going to be packing some. He's going to be pretty hard to hurt at the very least.
Yep, absolutely. So I think with that awareness, you kind of click in on that. You see that. The only other thing I'll give you is that you notice that people have done that thing where they're shutting shutters and stuff like that. There's tension in the air.
Nice.
I think that's the perfect place to leave off for our first break.
Cool.
Is as our group approaches what is probably a badass servitor.
It's just a Necron. It's no big deal.
He's an immortal. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's fine.
We got it.
So what Jeff says right here is, hey guys, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. So that's what we're going to do. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. See you guys just a sec.